Hey folks, Jim Fortin here, MindAuthorityNetwork.com, and in this short video, you're going to discover the easiest way to crack open your prospects' thinking and to lead them from no to yes, just like that. Now the great thing is what you're going to learn here is scientifically proven, yet less than 1% of selling professionals know what you're beginning to learn here. I've taught this information for many years to thousands of selling executives and thousands of sales, marketing, and advertising professionals around the world, all the way from Wall Street to Main Street, and my students say the same thing. They'll say, Jim, I've been to Miller Hyman, Sandler, Spin Selling, Consultative Selling, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Tom Hopkins, and every other sales training program under the sun. How come no one has ever taught me what you're teaching me? Well, it's pretty simple. All those other programs are about why people buy. All those other programs are what I call left brain programs. What I teach is the psychology of how people buy. You see, when you know how people buy unconsciously, you can then easily influence why they buy. Now, the fact that you're here means that you're looking for new ways to be more competitive, and you're looking for new ways to close more business and make more money. So when we're done with this video, if you're like most people, you're going to be fully convinced that this is something that you need to look into further. What I hear often is this. I'll even hear people say, Jim, what you teach, some of it flies right in the face of traditional sales training, yet it works better. So let's look at what we're talking about, what I'm talking about when it comes to being persuasive and influential and moving your prospects and clients unconsciously. Now, let's talk about frustration first. What kind of things are you dealing with on a daily basis out in the marketplace? Now, as I said, I've taught this information to thousands of selling professionals from many different industries. I've taught entry level all the way up to people that make $1 million a year in their industry in sales. And, I'm hearing the same things from coast to coast. Many people will say, well, our clients are in negative and bad moods and the economy's bad, and they say they're not buying. And then you've heard from your prospects and clients. They'll say things like, we're going to buy, and then they drag their heels. Or they'll say things like, call me in 3 months, or 90 days, or 6 months, whatever it is. And, think back to a time in the past when you called them back, and guess what? They didn't take your call. Or they took your call and they said, we've decided to go in a different direction, or the worst yet is a different vendor. Maybe even you've had clients and they've said, I'm sorry, we changed our mind and we just didn't get around to letting you know yet. I'm sure that's probably happened to you in the past. Or they keep saying, yes, yes, we're going to do business with you. But their behavior says, no, no, no. And I know that you could add your own situation to this list. Well, what is this video about? What is all of this about? It's about you understanding how your prospects and clients think unconsciously so that you can eliminate all of these frustrations and put them behind you. Let's talk about the economy for just a second. Now, this is off from the front page of the Wall Street Journal website today, and it says slow recovery feels like recession. Well, this is my position on the economy. Now, you, maybe even your prospects and clients are saying, how bad the economy is and why you're not buying and why you're not doing things differently and money is tight and this, that, and the other. I personally don't care where the economy is. What I care about is this. Where am I positioned in the economy? Because I know that people are always making money and losing money in any economy. And what I care about is positioning myself in a power position and a position of strength. Now, when it comes to traditional selling, what selling professionals are doing, the savvy ones, is they're putting themselves in a position of strength, meaning they're sharpening their skill set. As I said a couple of times, I've taught this information to thousands of selling professionals across the U.S., and I'm quite literally shocked at the amount of selling professionals that have done nothing different when it comes to their education since 2008, and they wonder why they can't close more business in this very competitive economy. So the fact of the matter is this: you must be playing the best game you've ever played. You must be sharper than your competition. See, what most people have never fully realized is the only thing you're ever going to be paid for is your ability to persuade and your ability to influence other people. If you haven't been able to close a client or you've lost business, that's happened because of one of two reasons. One, you weren't persuasive or influential enough to close the business, or secondly, and this happens all too often, your competition was more persuasive and more influential than you were. So it's obvious. If you want to start closing more business, you've got to sharpen your skill set. And I'm going to actually, I don't want you to take my word for it. You're going to discover it for yourself as we go through this video. But I'm going to start talking to you about ways that you can become significantly more competitive and you can understand your prospect and client in many cases and in many ways better than they understand themselves. So, if you're not closing all the business you want, then stay with me for just a few minutes. As I've said a couple of times, I think if you're like most selling professionals, when we're done, when you're finished with this video, you're going to start thinking about selling in a new way. You're going to start thinking about approaching your clients in new ways. And what I can guarantee is this: when you start approaching and you start selling in new ways, you're definitely going to get different and better results with your prospects and clients and in growing your business. Now, when you start selling to people in the way they naturally buy, selling becomes easy. I remember a student of mine a couple of years ago. She's a mortgage broker, and actually she was doing very well when I met her and when she attended my program. And she said, you know, Jim, prior to attending your program, I always felt like I was swimming upstream when I was trying to sell to my prospects and clients. And after taking your program, it became so easy to be persuasive and influential and to move people to action. Well, there's a reason that happens. See, there's been tons of research, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Columbia, major research universities. Here's a quote here from Alex Peugeot, Associate Professor of Brain and Cognitive Sciences, University of Rochester. Most of the decisions you make aren't based on conscious reasoning. Folks, that is powerful, especially when it comes to selling. Most of the decisions you make aren't based on conscious reasoning. That means that your prospects and your clients' buying decision isn't made on conscious reasoning. As a matter of fact, research has demonstrated that up to 95% of all buying decisions, they're unconsciously made. I'll say it again, up to 95% of all buying decisions are unconsciously made. And what that means is this: if you do not know how to persuade and you do not know how to influence your prospects and clients unconsciously, you are flat out leaving money on the table, losing business, and actually you are in no way growing your business as quickly as you can when you understand what you're learning here. That is powerful, folks. See, many people think that their prospects and clients are making rational decisions when it comes to buying. As you're about to discover, they are not. Here, let me show you something. This is actually really powerful. In just a moment, I'm going to put some words up here, and I want you to ignore the word, and I want you to say the color of the word as fast as you can. Now again, ignore the word, say the color. You might have seen this on the internet before. It's kind of circulated around. I've seen it a few times. This is called the Stroop effect. And after you look at this, it's going to be obvious that there are different things going on in the brain of your prospect and client when you're selling to them. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put up the words. Read from the top line, left to right, the color of the word as fast as you can, beginning now. So top left, what color is that? Middle top, what color? Far right top, what color? Keep on going. Second line, what color? What color? What color? What color? Keep on going. Okay. If you're like most people, you probably got tripped up. You probably either blew through it, not understanding the instructions, and you probably said blue, green, yellow, pink, red, orange, and so on. Or you probably thought red, blue, green, blue, and then you fumbled through it. Well, the reason that this happens is because two sides of the brain. Left-hand side of the brain has certain functions and responsibilities. Right-hand side of the brain has certain functions and responsibilities. The left-hand side of the brain is the analytical, rational side of the brain. It's the seat of the conscious mind. And the right-hand side of the brain is the illogical, irrational side of the brain, and it's the seat of the unconscious mind. So, when you were looking at this, the left-hand analytical side of the brain was attempting to read the linear word blue, B-L-U-E. And the right-hand side of the brain was attempting to, quote-unquote, read the color red. So it's obvious. Two sides of the brain attempting to do two separate things at the very same time. So what does this mean to you in selling? This means that when you're sitting across from your prospecting client, both sides of their brain are doing two separate things relative to you, your product, and your service at the very same time. So what I want you to get from this slide is this. Your brain first reads or buys unconsciously before consciously. Now think back to what I just said a couple of minutes ago, is that research has demonstrated that up to 95% of all buying decisions are unconsciously made. Okay, so how do you start persuading? How do you start influencing your prospects and clients, that 95% of the brain that buys? How do you start influencing people unconsciously? Before we get into that, I want to give you a simple metaphor here that will further illustrate how the left side and the right side of the brain perceives things. I'm going to put up a simple concept here. I'm going to put up a word, and the word is lemon, L-E-M-O-N. Now, obviously, that's analytical, that's rational, and that's processed by the left-hand side of the brain, because the left-hand side of the brain processes linear thinking, things like time, and things like language. Now, this is how most people sell, using words and different things like this, but I'm going to show you how much different it is when we start speaking to the right-hand side of the brain. Now, I've got lemon there, left-hand side of the brain. Let's talk to the right-hand side of your brain. And we've got there an image of a lemon. Now, which one is more visceral? Which one is more real? Which one can you get your mind around? Well, obviously, it's the image of a lemon. So let me ask you, how do you engage? How do you persuade? How do you influence your prospects and your client's brain? Now, don't feel bad about that, because if you're like most people, obviously you've never learned this before. And, you know, sales managers will say things like, you've got to get into their mind. Yet when I'm doing large presentations, whether I've got 1,000 people or 5,000 people in the audience, I'll say, okay, folks, you know, I've heard many of you say before, you've got to get into your prospect's mind. Let me ask you, how do you do that? And when I ask that question, this is what I can hear. Yeah, I can pretty much hear a pin drop. People, you know, put out certain answers like you've got to start asking questions, you've got to gather information. However, what I rarely find, and when I say rarely, I mean 1 out of 1,000, they will know what to do with that information that they gather from their prospect and client, so that they will know how their prospect and client is unconsciously thinking. So again, I ask you, how do you engage the brain of your prospects and your clients? So let's talk about the brain for a moment. Neuro-persuasion. Now, neuro-persuasion is a word that I trademarked. It basically means brain persuasion. See, all persuasion and influence has to happen in the brain. Now, I know that you might be thinking, duh, Jim, that's pretty simple. Yet again, I never, and I use the word never, which is a qualifier and a big one at that, I never run into people who can tell me exactly how to persuade and how to influence the brain of their prospect and client. So let's look at the left side of the brain first. Left-hand side of the brain, as I said a couple of minutes ago, is the seat of the conscious mind. It's analytical, it's rational, it's the seat of short-term memory. Left side of the brain is all about content. When it comes to sales, content is features and benefits, and content is what people think about. Reasons, rationality, numbers, statistics, all the analytical, linear things relative to a sell. Now, here's where many people make a mistake, especially engineers in technical fields. They think, well, we've got a very technical sell, so it's all got to be left brain. That's incorrect. Because, see, all left brain content is first filtered unconsciously, which is right brain. So people do not buy features and benefits. In just a moment, I'll tell you what they do buy. Right-hand side of the brain is the seat of the unconscious mind. It's non-analytical. It's completely irrational. That's why we buy things and later we think, why did I buy this? What I tell people is this. It's the right-hand side of the brain that buys. It's the left-hand side of the brain that returns. Right-hand side of the brain, it's the seat of long-term memory. Right-hand side of the brain is all about process, and the right-hand side of the brain is how people think. Remember when I started this video, I said how versus what. Now, what most people are trained to do is sell what? Again, the linear facts and numbers and statistics and reasons and features and benefits, which if you notice there is only 5% of mental function. What you want to now start doing is you want to understand the process. Now, I said people do not buy features and benefits. What they buy is this. They buy how they process features and benefits. They buy what they process about features and benefits. No time to get into it now, but what I mean by that are your prospects and clients predominantly auditory, visual, or kinesthetic? What are their unconscious beliefs? What's their unconscious identity? What is their unconscious values? Now notice I said the word unconscious beliefs, values, and identities. What blueprints do they use to make their buying decisions? Do they move towards things? Do they move away from things predominantly? Are they predominantly internally versus externally referenced? Are they specific thinkers or general thinkers? Are they procedural thinkers or random thinkers? Do they buy by similarity or do they buy by dissimilarity? Folks, that is all about process, and every feature and benefit that you're selling people, they have to first run it through their process to decide whether or not they want to buy. Now here's the obvious key. When you understand how people think, how they process, it's then easy to influence what they think about you and your prospect, you, and what you have to offer, your company, or whatever it might be. So it's vital, if you want to start closing more business, is to start understanding how people subjectively process you, your company, and your offer. Okay, now how can we do that? Well, I want to leave you with one final metaphor here before I tell you how to do it. We've got an iceberg here in front of us. Now, obviously, you know, with an iceberg, you can only see the smallest part, the tip, which is the smallest part of the iceberg. Well, that's the conscious mind. That's what I call the surface structure. That's 5%. We just covered that a while ago. See, the top of the iceberg is what most people sell to because it's what they can see. Yet, as you already know, it's the bulk under the water that drives the iceberg. Well, the same thing with people. It's the deep structure, it's the deep unconscious structure below the 95% that drives the 5%. So if you want to move the 5%, which is what people try to do, you've got to understand how to move the 95%. Because see, that's where the buying decision is made. And because that's where the buying decision is made, that's where the money is. Okay, so I know that you're getting this, so where can you learn more? Well, the easiest way to crack open your client's thinking is obvious. You've got to know how they process and how they think. I put together what I call the Mind Authority Network. It's a membership site. It's the one and only of its kind, and I know that. I'm not a big fan of marketing hyperbole, but I know that because we did a lot of research before we put it together. On that website, it's my material. I've got some experts that have joined me, but my material is a synthesis of neurolinguistics, behavioral research, and unconscious language patterns. I'm going to teach you how to break down behavioral science, neurolinguistics, and language patterns, and I'm going to teach you how to bring them into your daily selling so that you can be more persuasive and more influential with your prospects and clients. You're going to learn how your clients make decisions to buy. Remember, notice I didn't say what, I said how. How to create instant trust and likability. Now, many people in sales, and I've taught many seasoned selling professionals, people think they know how to create trust and likability, yet most people miss the boat. As a matter of fact, most people don't even know that rapport is not commonality, which most people think that's what it is. Rapport is when you have unconsciously entrained or gotten into sync with the person that you're talking to. So I'm going to teach you how to create unconscious rapport and how to create instant trust and likability. You're going to learn your client's buying brain language, meaning what is the language that they go through in their own brain to be convinced to buy. You're going to actually learn how to link your product and service to your client's identity, unconscious identity. You're going to start learning mental blueprints of behavior, what drives people's behavior unconsciously, how to shift negative clients, how to shift their states, how to move people in and out of states, how to lead people with suggestions. Let me back up there. Leading of suggestions. If you're like most of my students, you've probably been to traditional sales training. You've been taught ABC, always be closing. Well, that is actually wrong and counterproductive. What you want to do is ABL. See, nobody wants to be closed. You want to ABL, which is always be leading. When you effectively lead your prospects and clients, they'll easily close. You're going to learn behavioral research, what things drive human beings. Years of research has been done on this for years, and it's been determined that certain things drive human beings unconsciously. I'm going to teach you what those things are and then how to break it down and apply it to your own business. You're going to learn influential language patterns. You may already know that I'm a master hypnotist. I'm going to teach you actual patterns that I would use as a hypnotist to lay suggestions, to plant suggestions for what I wanted people to think. Now, I mean that ethically, of course. Weekly calls on the website. I have weekly calls with members, and actually I brainstorm with them and tell them how to apply the information to their particular situation. I have interviews. Actually, each and every month I interview a notable person, an entrepreneur, somebody who's done something extraordinary in the world. And I also have 7 world-class experts with me on the website. You'll discover who they are when you go over to the mindauthority.network.com. Also, we've got forums. The website is designed so that you can interact with me, become part of the conversation, and you can interact and get to know other members on the website. And then book reviews. I review books that I think are appropriate and books that will help you grow your business and books that will help you personally perform at higher levels. And obviously much, much more. Now, next step is this. Visit the Mind Authority Network over at mindauthority.network.com. Now, if you found this video randomly or on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or something like that, then simply right now go over to mindauthority.network.com. You'll find a page there that's going to tell you a great deal more. And you'll find a video there that will walk you through the website and show you what you get and what we're going to do for you when you become a member. Caveat: if someone sent you this video, or they sent you some kind of link or something in an email, make sure that you click on that link, because see, many times I have people that partner with me, and through different partners I will give discounts or special offers or this, that, or the other. If you go right to the Mind Authority Network without clicking on the link that you were sent, you may miss out on a special offer. So it's pretty obvious. It's pretty easy here. Go over to mindauthority.network.com or click on the link that someone sent you. And finally, as you're going to discover, I believe that life is about service. What you put out is what you get back. And I'm constantly doing my best to help you and everyone that I encounter. I'm constantly wanting to help you grow your business and live a better life. That being said, pick just one friend. I'm not asking you to forward this to everyone you know or your entire Facebook list or whatever. You can if you want, but just pick one friend who you know appreciates cutting-edge selling information. Maybe a family member in sales marketing and advertising. Maybe you're a sales manager. Maybe you want to send this to a couple of people on your sales team. But pick someone that you know that appreciates high-quality sales, marketing, and advertising information, and you know that they want to grow their business. Send them this link. Okay, so thank you for watching. If you're, as I said, if you're like most people, it's now obvious that you've got to start thinking about selling in new ways to become more competitive in the new economy. So do yourself a favor. Go on over to mindauthority.network.com, and I'll catch you over there. Okay, again, this is Jim Fortin, mindauthority.network.com. Thanks for watching, and do what you can to make it a great day today. Bye-bye.